I would just like to announce that it is Halloween now. This may come as a surprise to some of you given that it is July, but the Council of Spooky Bitches met this weekend, and we have decided that this is Halloween! This is Halloween!
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy coming at you this week with Fire and Ice in the main event, movie from 1983. As we look back 40 years to movies that came out in 1983, we are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, I love the score to Fire and Ice. You do hear it a lot in the 82-minute runtime.
You sure do.
Plays quite a bit. So it's not for like the lack of hiding that score. It's not like it's subtly used. It's nothing quite subtle about that movie. But we'll talk about it in just a little bit here as we head into it. I understand, Eric, too, that I assigned a movie that I don't think any of it was your bag necessarily, as far as the style of animation, the actual genre of movie.
I like that Matt Fowler. What we've learned from these 82 and 83 movies is that Matt always liked slow and ponderous things that looked interesting.
Whether it was The Last Unicorn or Secret of Nim, or me and my like weird, creepy, oogie like 80s animated films, like the pre-Disney Renaissance era of animation was like the second page of Google. It was like the dark web. It was a
weird time. Yeah. It really was.
Okay, yeah, so we'll get to that in a little bit. And I'm looking at your pick for next week. We'll reveal it later, but I like that you go big and for the actual hit movies that kind of came out that year. I'm like, my movie,
what's off-putting?
What's off-putting and almost made $1 million in theaters? It kind of crawled its way to $1 million in limited release.
Did you say crawled or crawled? Because either would work.
Oh, don't spoil 2 weeks from now's main event.
Hey, I almost chose it.
I was gonna say that's a Matt pick though. That's a slow, ponderous ass movie too.
I did see Kroll as a kid, and I remember liking it as a kid, but I really don't have any memories except for the glaive.
Yes,
the glaive happened.
The glaive is the best part of that movie, and the glaive is the only thing that should really survive that movie. But yeah, I'm very tempted to pick, as I am to pick the slow, ponderous movies. Kroll, sci-fi meets fantasy in Kroll. But will I? You'll find out in 2 weeks. What will Eric's pick be? You'll find out later. Speaking of something that's not slow and ponderous and actually great, a couple things. As part of my personal minutia was we went and saw Hadestown last week. It's my second time seeing it. Have you seen Hadestown yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
Good stuff. If it rolls through, it probably does all the time, or if it maybe just has a standing theater in Los Angeles. But yeah, it tours here. We had to go to Fort Worth, which is much farther than Dallas for us to drive to. But yeah, good stuff. And then a Jaws movie party on 4th of July, as one does at Alamo, where they gave us a nice little hat and a nice little. So do you remember when obviously you remember this, but
I was going to say no, because I know what you're about to ask.
We went down to Austin and we all went to Jaws on the Water, done by Alamo, but this water. Fire in the sky. But it was an actual lake where they showed Jaws, and it was Alamo sponsored.
That was fun.
Put on, and they had employees swimming underneath you and pinching your bottom. I don't know what they did. They rubbed up against you. They were trying to scare you.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, so we in our
part I forgot about. It didn't, because I didn't personally experience it, but I remember people yelling when it happened.
Well, that's the thing is like the way to sort of avoid it was like to not wade in your inner tube with like, you don't wear it like a hula hoop, right? You actually sit in it, because no one's going to come up and actually grab your ass like through the
and they don't want to really make you tip over. So,
right.
Yeah.
And they also don't want to violate your body. So like,
right.
So like dangling feet would be what they would probably go for, or hands. And yeah, they don't want you to make you spill your drink or something like that. But we got beer or drink floaties for a swimming pool that resembled the inner tubes that we were given, the yellow blood spattered inner tubes that we were given at that Jaws on the Water thing from what was it, 5 years ago, 6? Who knows?
Who
Anyway,
knows? All I know
stuff.
is we saw Skyscraper on that same trip.
Yes, at a different Alamo, not on the water, but in an actual theater. We went and saw Skyscraper. And then the other news over on this side of the world is that we had a storm that rolled in, lasted all of 20 minutes, knocked our power out for 10 hours.
Jesus.
It was terrible. But fortunately, that was the night you couldn't do this podcast because you'd fallen asleep during the first 3 minutes of Fire and Ice.
This is a true story.
So my phone was like on power save mode at like 5% or something, and I'm trying to sleep because it's really hot and there's no AC because the power was out at night. And I was like, please don't let my phone die. And then Eric's text rolls in at like 2 a.m. I'm like, stop using my phone battery, Eric.
Sorry. By the way, I did have to note that the inner tube in question for Jaws that we were given at that event was supposed to be, it had Alex Kittner's name on it, the child who's the second victim in Jaws.
Yes.
Alex Kittner inner tube.
It was like had a chomp out of it, and there was that was his blood on it.
Yes.
Well, this was a mini version. This was like a little cute mini version of the Alex Kittner death tube.
Excellent.
All right, let's get into some entertainment news here. The first being man, I don't know, Eric. I can't wake up. Wake me up inside. Jennifer Garner back as Elektra for Deadpool 3. So reports THR.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody will confirm this, but THR is reporting that, Elektra returns. Jennifer Garner is supposedly reprising her role for Deadpool 3. I'm sure in a very entertainingly funny way. But now, Eric, now that we're doing this,
yes.
Let's get all the Elektras, all the Daredevils. We can't get all the Kingpins, sadly. We can't get all the Punishers. We can't even get all the Punishers, sadly. But let's just Daredevil mashup, everyone meeting everybody. And let's be silly. If not, just so people can get mad about it, because people apparently get mad about the multiverse now, according to Flash. But yeah, so it'd be weird if Ben Affleck get him into another multiverse.
Well, we'll see. I mean, how much can we talk about rumors right now with this movie? Because now that Jennifer Garner's been reported by a reputable source that it's going to be true because it's THR,
right?
You know,
we're going to see Ben. We're going to see Favreau meet the other Foggy.
I'm not going to go into I'll just say this. This lends credence to the rumors that this movie, which we know Hugh Jackman is a co-lead in, is going to involve a lot of alumni of 20th Century Fox Marvel movies.
Yes.
Are probably going to specific to that world. So I don't think it'd be like all the Punishers and stuff like that. I think it might be like the people that made movies for 20th Century Fox. I won't say who they are, but you can start filling in blanks.
I want John Bernthal and Dolph Lundgren.
You say that for Secret Wars, Matt. This is all.
So that's my other concern. Is that the wad's getting blown too early with all of this stuff? Like, what's left for Secret? So what's left for Secret Wars, obviously, is bringing back Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr. You know what I mean? It's bringing back the classic Avengers, and that's like
and all the Spider-Man
and all the Spider-Mans,
yes,
and strangely
including animated Miles. You just go for it.
Strangely, Michael Keaton is Batman. I don't know why, but he's there in a movie that I hope would be much better received for something that's so cool as bringing Michael Keaton as Batman. It's very sad to think, Eric, and I'm gonna spoil Flash right now,
sure.
Which is to say, if we're to believe that this is the Michael Keaton we watched in Batman '89, because there was the Joker teeth, right, and then Batman Returns, it's sad to think that Batman was going around saving Gotham from penguins and Catwomen and all that stuff, only like for a couple decades later, Zod to come and destroy the entire.
But he got to enjoy a peaceful Gotham for a while. He
did. I wish in his kitchen there had been like a bag of food made for him, like a meal prepared. I loved his spaghetti, and it helped me understand the multiverse, Eric. But I wish there would I wish Selena had packed him a lunch, is what I'm saying. And Michelle Pfeiffer's not in the movie, but like just knowing that Selena Kyle was still out there would have been fun.
For the rest of my life, I will be hit by it being utterly bizarre that there is a completed. I know they didn't complete all the post production. A filmed Batgirl movie that we will probably never see. That Michael Keaton plays Batman in. That'll
and
never
is like her fucking mentor.
Yeah, that'll never not be.
It'll come.
I will think about.
Okay, we will see it one day because Hollywood loves to take away and give back. That's how the cycle of news works. If we can get Zack Snyder's fucking Justice League made with more millions poured into it to actually get it made, at one point we're gonna get this Batgirl movie.
We'll see. I'd like to believe it. We'll see.
It could happen after I'm dead, but it will happen.
Tell me they're gonna release.
Speaking of things coming back, this is a small story because I don't know how many people out there are actually aware of Warrior Nun. Please don't send me hate mail. Please don't send me hate mail. And I only say that because Warrior Nun fans are among the most fervent, which is Warrior Nun was a series on Netflix. It lasted 2 seasons, was canceled just last fall after
which 2 seasons is about where you get for 90% of
yeah, that's better than most. Better than most. I reviewed the first season. I enjoyed it. It's a very specific supernatural Buffy the Vampire Slayer style chosen one story. Warrior Nun, based on a comic series. And I liked the first season. Did not watch the second season. Was also not assigned to review the second season. Did that stop people from tweeting at me constantly? Please review Warrior Nun season 2 when it was on the bubble and being when they heard that it might be canceled and they were getting
you could save it.
Fewer people were reviewing season 2, and they went back and they just went to everyone who reviewed the first season and were like targeting them and saying like, do this, and I was like, no.
That's your Watchmen moment. Review Warrior Nun and I'll say no.
No. But yeah, so anyway, but apparently, according to the show's creator, it has been saved. So Save Warrior Nun, this hashtag movement that was online, these, first of all, were far beyond the era of these being like a big new thing. The Save the Show campaigns are old hat by now in the online world. And B, especially the way Netflix operates these days, they don't really work, and we ignore them more now because it's kind of like it does feel like shouting into the void at this point, and things are being unrenewed. Like
I think you're being unrenewed, and the great savior was Netflix, who are some of the most notorious cancelers.
Yeah, now they're in the cancel game, and so anyway. The fact that this actually did get saved, not by Netflix, they did not renew it, and I don't know where it landed, but we don't know. Yeah. The thing is, the creator tweeted that he's officially reporting that because of everyone's combined passion and voice and so on, that Warrior Nun will return, and it's going to be more, and this is in all caps, epic than you can imagine. Now, if this were a few years ago, I would say, oh, that's a clue. It's heading to Epics. But Epics isn't even Epics anymore, so well, maybe that's a weird clue that it's MGM Plus.
Yeah,
it's like Warrior Nun and Godfather of Harlem, and that's it.
No, I think it was From. That's a big show, right?
From.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it would fit in with From because then you could do your supernatural block on MGM Plus, and MGM Plus needs something, obviously, yes. If they actually are gonna. Why so early, guys, to the game of the TV Wars? Trying to make your streaming platform take off.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, if you're a Warrior Nun fan, then this is great news for you. I
wonder the biggest thing I wonder from afar, as somebody's never seen any of Warrior Nun, but again, my wife watched it and liked it, is will whoever is the new home of it get the first 2 seasons?
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Often the problem is even if someone saves it, can they get the earlier seasons? Because that's often a big obstacle. Is like, not if you don't have it all. Why would you want the new?
That was like a big hurdle for bringing actual Marvel Netflix characters into the MCU officially, is they had to kind of wait till those rights expired for the Netflix shows, so that all of Daredevil wasn't on Netflix.
Also, my big question, actually, the more I think about this, is, in the past, now we've had at least 2 Netflix shows that showing you how things had changed. We've had 2 Netflix shows that were canceled and saved by other people. And that was One Day at a Time and Tuca and Birdie. In both cases, they were saved by non-streamers because they had to be. like Netflix's deal said another streamer couldn't pick it up. I don't know if that's still the case in the week.
That's like a weird, that's like a weird non-compete clause that WWE has, where it's like you can't appear on AEW television, but you can do this federation. Yeah. So
in both cases, I think it was like they could go; those episodes could be on a streamer.
I bet they could go to MGM Plus.
Yeah, well, like
I think
Netflix is like, I think
we
don't
small,
really consider you a streamer.
There's small potatoes enough that it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, you know what? We'll give you this one, Warrior Nun.
We'll see. But happy for you, Warrior Nun fans. You did it.
You did it. We did it. I did it by not reviewing it. See, it worked. My tactic worked. I was like, trust me.
You were
playing. If I review this,
game.
It's gonna be the nail in the coffin if I review this. Because what if I gave it a shitty review?
I know.
They were just assuming I was gonna like season 2. They don't know. They don't know me. They don't know my mind, my heart. Okay. And then
it's no Fire and Ice, right? Matt Fowler.
Certainly is not. This needs more rotoscoping and giant asses.
Yeah, ass in camera.
Yes. Just like full on upskirt ass is what Warrior Nun needs. And they're like, no, that's not what we meant. Okay. And then next week on Wednesday is the basically we're all sort of waiting, especially someone like Eric who has Comic-Con plans and hinging on all of these decisions, which is to say we're waiting to see whether or not the Screen Actors Guild joins with the Writers Guild of America in the strike. And the time expires next week, midweek. And
but this was because I don't think when we recorded last week, they hadn't extended because it was supposed to be decision would be made by Friday, by June 30th. And then we'd know, but then they decided to do an extension to July 12th. So
yeah, they might do an extension to the extension. I don't think so, but yeah,
it's very with Comic-Con especially, which is the schedules. As we're recording this Friday night, Comic-Con does this weird thing where they release their schedule one day at a time. Hey, like a TV show, Thursday through Sunday for the respective days. It's already such a smaller Comic-Con in terms of like the movie and TV show panels, but there are still some notable ones. But most of them aren't listing cast because they're obviously kind of being like, we don't know. But yeah, this has got to be, I mean, as much as it's anxiety for me, Matt, I can't imagine being like a publicist and whatnot who is like, are we sending our cast in 2 weeks?
I can't imagine being a publicist, period.
Well, sure. Yes.
Every day is a fucking 4-alarm fire, 3-alarm chili. You know what I mean? Like, it's just nothing but chaos swirling around you.
But this is crazy because, so now we won't know if they're striking till, presumably late Wednesday night, a week before preview night. And I had a cancellation on an interview we had lined up for Comic-Con. I will not say with what pretty high profile, notable project with some notable people involved, canceled because they decided to play it safe, I think, and just be like, look, we can't at this point. It's too down to the wire. Most others, I think, are going to wait, but it's just so strange to think, be like, okay, we have a bunch of interviews lined up. Are they actually happening? We don't know. So that's my personal, it's such a bigger issue. I'm just saying, my personal thing, but also I think Comic-Con in general, it's a giant question of like, just how different will this Comic-Con be if there's like almost no actors except on panels that are not at all official TV show or movie panels.
Yeah, if they're just appearing as like, badass babes of Dr. TV or something like that.
Well, not quite that. But like looking at the schedule today, like there are some notable writers and people and actors are going, but again, because kind of the thing when you're on strike is you're not going to officially do anything with the network or studio. So it's like there are like some writers I see that are on panels that are like, group panels about like, trends or, working in the industry and things like that are like, Patton Oswalt, who is a writer and an actor. And so he could be double on strike in 2 weeks, but he has a panel about like his comic books and stuff with some other comic book writers. Well, he can still do that. Jamie Lee Curtis can still do a panel
about his TV show.
I think again, I don't think he can't talk about it. It's all the
fan has to be killed.
No, but they won't go with the network or studio on their official panel. It's all very specific, but
they'll still be killed
though. They will not be killed. Okay. They've taken away that rule.
Oh, finally. Yeah, we don't do that. Not anymore. All right, we've got quite a few write-ins here. The first actually leads me to talk about something very important to We Enjoy Podcast, which is Mission Impossible. Jared writes in, I won't read the full message, but he was looking for the Mission Impossible recaps that we did. He couldn't find them. He guessed that they might be from the wrestling days, and he is correct. So
the last days of the wrestling days.
Yes, right near the end of We Enjoy Wrestling, right before we kind of mostly shuttered it and only do special events now, is we the last franchise we did for that was Mission Impossible. And so right now on the regular We Enjoy feed, you can get in 2 parts all 6 movies. The time codes are listed in the summaries, whether you're on Patreon or doing it on Apple or Spotify or whatever. And you can, and there's for Apple and the other ones, there are no commercials on these, so it doesn't mess with the time codes and shit like that. So time codes are the time codes, and you can listen to the first 3 on the first episode and the second 3 on the second. Mission Impossible is very nice, just having 6. It was easy to split it in 2. So if you are doing a rewatch and want to listen to us after you watch the movies, or if you just want to listen to us and not watch the movies, or not listen to us at all, who knows? But yeah, ahead of Dead Reckoning Part 1, which opens next week, you can get all your Ethan Hunt fill if you'd like, should you choose to accept it.
Last night, I was driving home from the Arrow, where I got to see Boogie Nights in 70mm again this year. But I was listening to a little bit of it, Matt, because of course I'm like, what do we think about Mission Impossibles? And I'll tweet this out later. I'm going to try to cut out the audio clip. It's a total like humorous bragging thing, but I called it. I say they need to bring back Donlo, sent to the Alaskan.
Oh, that's right.
I do a whole thing where I'm like, they should bring him back. So I felt very happy.
Well, Macquarie listens to us, apparently.
Yes, Macquarie directly listens to me.
Get me Dunlo.
Yes, he'll be back in the 8th film.
All right. And then Mark writes in, esoteric is the term Eric was looking for, LOL. What were you blanking on a word? I don't know.
I was blanking on a word. I can't even remember the context. I can't remember what we were saying. I just remember I was having one of those brain fry moments where there was a word that it's not
apparently
like
the word was esoteric.
That makes sense.
And honestly, I don't even know if that's correct because I too do not remember the context.
Again, I remember I was having brain fry. I don't remember what it was.
Let's just go with it.
Sure.
Esoteric. Jason writes in, oh, this is in response to the 100 secret screening that we went to a couple weeks ago here at Alamo. Jason writes in, I love Rad so much. Great movie, great soundtrack. And then Daniel also writes in, you guys need to do a Rad Thrashin' main event. I never saw Cube? And then Gleam in the Cube on top of that. And then Airborne, right? The rollerblading movie.
Yes. Thrashin'. So I do, because I've never seen either of those movies. And I realized I probably was mixing them up when you were talking about going to that screening, because one of those movies, and it's not Rad, because I looked how do you spell Thrashin'?
Oh, it's Josh Brolin and skating.
Yeah.
So it's basically, with this, we would get BMX bikes, which is Rad, skateboarding, which is Thrashin'. If we did Gleam in the Cube, we would 2 skateboarding movies. And then Airborne is rollerblading. So we'd play the hits, you know what I mean?
I assume then it's Thrashin'. There was a because I talked about how I was supposed to see Rad a few years ago to screening and that they canceled because the print, something went wrong with it. But maybe it was Thrashin' then that the Chili Peppers are in it as themselves, and so is Tony Hawk. That there was a like movies that filmed in the Valley Festival that happened a couple years ago, and maybe it was Thrashin' that's played at that, but I can't see where this movie was filmed. But at some point I will watch both these films because it is a weird gap in my
it's a little 80s blind spot for somebody who doesn't have many or any. Okay. And then someone else let's see. Brandon writes in, this is Brandon from Indiana writes in about Dabney Coleman. Short Time is by far my favorite Dabney Coleman movie. I remember liking it so much, many movies of the era, and discovering it during the previews at the beginning of a different VHS rental. It's a film I've introduced to my friends over the years, and I was floored there was a movie I've seen that neither of you had seen. Please correct this mistake and see Short Time ASAP. I'm glad to hear that it was actually a good movie. The trailers made it look hysterical, but I feel like it was a big bomb. But Being a big bomb doesn't mean it's not good.
No, I don't know.
Just look at Fire and Ice. No,
Although
I don't even know what the
Twitter,
expectations were.
People on Twitter sure like to point out that a movie you liked bombed and that you can't like it. You're banned from liking it.
And if a movie they don't like made a lot of money, people were paid off, or they're shills, or it's a conspiracy. I don't know, something. All right. Okay, let's get into our good things to enjoy. Eric, what is your pick? I see you've got 2 this week because we're going back to Eric's. I wish I had a little jingle. Physical Media Corner.
Physical Media Corner. I just want to mention that in the physical media realm, that Creepshow, 1982's Creepshow. Again, if at some point if we do Stephen King movies, that's one that we could do. There's also plenty from 83. But Creepshow, which is a movie I've quite enjoyed since I was a wee tot, has a new 4K release from Scream Factory. Not a couple years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, they put out like a jam-packed Blu-ray with like tons of extras and a new transfer that looked really good. And those looks even better. It was one of the, sometimes, Matt, it's so weird when you watch a movie you grew up watching like grainy VHS of, and you watch like the pristine new version, you're like, yeah, this is not how this, it almost feels like wrong because we watched the movie so crappy quality growing up.
But as we go back to the things of yesteryear, like vinyl and VHS and things, it's like that adds to the love and nostalgia that it's supposed to look like that. And when you clean it up, it feels it's kind of like, I don't want my records to sound great. You know what I mean? Because I want that hum and that weird fuzz in the background because that's how it sounded. So all those audio nerds out there who are now like making records sound better because they're splitting everything into fucking 2 and 3 discs. So, I'm like, stop it. Make my records sound shitty. Anyway.
Well, I don't go that far. It's just, it's weird, but because I will say it looks so fucking good. Like I was like kind of blown away by watching again, like something like Creepshow, looking that great. No new extras, but that's fine because all the old ones, like I say, old, they're like 4 or 5 years old, most of them. And there's so many. There's a ton of stuff on it. They interviewed like one little sad part is they interviewed some guys from Mondo who I don't think are there anymore because Mondo had some overhauls, but they talked to Mondo about the posters they made. They talked to like a super collector who's managed to get a bunch of the original like makeup effects props as like the body that all the cockroaches came out of and stuff. And then they also, of course, talked about the making of the movie. And yeah, there's so much on it.
I remember that body being on the cover of Fangoria once.
I do as well. And I think I've told the story that I saw Creepshow in the perfect way to fuck you up as a little kid way, which is turning it on just at that final cockroach segment, way too young, super young, and just freaking me out, like just terrorizing me.
So that particular segment is a huge standout from that movie as far as like something that grosses people out. There are other iconic moments, obviously, but like that was the one that like was sometimes too much for people to handle, except for me, who grew up in a roach-infested apartment in New York City. And I was like, yeah, this feels right.
And felt that was your ultimate fate.
I was like, finally, somebody understands.
This is how I'm gonna go. But yeah, so Creepshow, new 4K from Scream Factory, who always put out great stuff. Just a great movie that looks great. And if you haven't seen it, I think it's a very fun one. I think I've talked about how a few years ago they did a double feature of Creepshow and Trick or Treat, 2 great anthology films in the New Beverly, and it was a delightful night. So check out that 4K if you haven't seen the movie, or if you have. But then my actual new recommendation, we don't always do new recommendations, but I am doing my actual recommendation is a new theatrical film, which is Joyride, which we are recording this Friday night, has just opened in theaters, from Lionsgate. Adele Lim is the director. It's her directorial debut, but she's had a few years as a notable writer. She co-wrote Crazy Rich Asians, and she co-wrote Raya and the Last Dragon. Turns out, Matt, that I was at Emerson at the same time as her, and it feels weird that, not that I didn't know her, but that so far I don't know anyone who did. She was a film major, a year older. It just feels like Emerson's small. So it's just, I'm a little surprised I haven't like talked to people who knew Adele Lim.
Maybe that was by her design. She didn't want to know any of you.
Maybe she's like, I don't want to hang out with those guys, those losers. It'll probably turn out I had like a film class with her. I don't remember this. It's gonna be like when they show you scenes in a movie where they like in Spider-Man No Way Home, where like Mysterio was in all those scenes. It's like Adele Lim was in all my. She was at parties. She was like in my dorm room hanging out. Anyway, this is her directorial debut, and it is a very funny comedy. It is a definitely we're having with this and what's the name of it? I keep forgetting.
No Hard Feelings.
No Hard Feelings. Even though I saw that and I enjoyed it, but I like Joyride more. The sort of the raunchy female-led comedy. Right now it's been a tough time for comedies in general in theaters, especially if they're not like high concept, like a comedy sci-fi or comedy action. Just a straightforward comedy are struggling. We've got a couple like very R-rated, raunchy ones right now that are female-led. They're both good. This is, I think, the stronger one overall. And obviously this one, is notable because it's all about 4 Asian women who are A, don't get censored in movies a lot anyway, and B, I don't think ever have gotten in like an American raunchy super R-rated comedy. The person who's like most notable in the cast is Stephanie Hsu, who obviously just had an Oscar nomination for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You'll get there.
I'll get there. But she's not the lead. The 2 leads are Ashley Park and Sherry Cola, because it's like you do that thing I think a lot of these movies do, where it's like it's about 4 friends, but you really have the 2 people who are at the center, and one's really the lead, kind of like Gordy. Who's the Gordy?
Well, one is the one with the arc, right?
Yes,
one's the journey person. Well, Eric, it's like Euro Trip. One's going somewhere for a reason, and the others tag along, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And the actual lead here is Ashley Park, who at a glance I was like, she's familiar, and then turns out she's been in just a shitload of stuff.
Turns out she was at Emerson too, and you dated for 2 months, and you don't remember.
The thing I saw her Ashley Park in was on Broadway in Mean Girls, but she's on Emily in Paris. She Girls Five Eva. She is the dead member of the group who appears frequently in flashbacks. She was also on Beef, which I still need to watch, but Matt did.
Beef is so good. I wonder who she is.
She and Sherry Cola play like the 2 like lifelong friends. Stephanie Hsu and Sabrina Wu play their other friends who go with them on a trip to China, where Ashley Park's character was adopted from. She was raised by American parents, including David Denman from The Office. I'm forgetting the actress who plays her mom. But anyway, they go there and wacky hijinks ensue. And, it's like a lot of like a lot of comedies. Everything doesn't land, but I think a lot does. There's some very funny. It certainly goes for it. There's some very outrageous moments in this movie. It doesn't hold back on the sex. It's not a sex comedy per se, but when it has sexual situations, they go for it. And I laughed a lot. And it has some heart, has some really nice scenes. I think Ashley Park is really good as the lead. Everyone is really funny in it. Stephanie Hsu, kind of a nice casting, because she plays the person who's a star of this group. She's like filming so there are melodramas in China amongst them. But they're all really funny together. There are some very funny moments. I went to the premiere, Matt, and obviously premieres are always going to be like, a good crowd. But this was like, it's one of those things where it's like, it was really nice to be at, because you could feel it was like a genuine sort of celebration. Like there was like so many people were just happy this movie exists. So there was like huge reactions to moments that I thought were great, but like they were even more important for people who were sitting there. But it was like really nice to see.
Like everyone was Max Cady. Like
yes. And Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg produced this. I forgot that when they came up, when everyone came up before the movie, and they were there. I was like, oh yeah, they produced this the sucker. There's some fun cameos in it. And yes, I quite enjoyed Joyride, and I want comedies to come back as a thing in theaters, because it's fun to sit and laugh together in a theater.
Eric,
guys.
Did this movie cost $300 million? Because that's the only movies that are getting made now at this point.
Didn't cost $300 million. Didn't cost $250.
Movies that can have no chance in hell of ever making their budgets back.
Yeah, this movie could, in fact, make a profit, and I hope it does in theaters, because that would be nice. So Joyride, and it's 95 minutes.
Perfect length. I hear Oppenheimer is a tight 95 too.
Oh sure, definitely. It just plays all day and IMAX constantly.
We could fit 12 showings in a day. Okay, Joyride. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see No Hard Feelings. But again, it's kind of like where you're spending your your multiplex dollars. I am going to see Past Life tomorrow, so I want to check that.
I feel you've got I mean, yeah, of course you've got like a membership to Alamo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. We've talked about how your local audiences at AMC's are not conducive.
Oh, they're terrible. They're terrible.
Yeah.
So I have to,
because I do feel bad about that. Because like A-list, obviously, like.
well, so the other thing is, it's bad. It's bad here. It's bad all around. And then the trouble is with something so like with Past Life tomorrow, it's not at every Alamo. It's because we got 5 here, but it's at 1 and it's at the furthest one. So I have to, it's quite a drive to get to this one.
Yeah. Because last weekend, like I used my A-list to catch up on some things. No Hard Feelings. Another movie I almost made my recommendation this week, Asteroid City. I love it. Go see it. Especially if you like Wes Anderson, because I think this is one of my favorites of his. But obviously he has a specific vibe. But yeah, I always feel bad that you have to.
I have a Cinemark right around the corner from me, and it's.
I get it. Yeah.
Oh man. So now that you're done with your technically 4 recommendations,
what was my 4th?
Asteroid City.
No, but what was my 3rd? Oh, it was No Hard
Feelings.
I don't know. I mean, I said I liked it. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm just mentioning things.
All right. I'm going to talk about something I hate called The Night Agent.
For 20 minutes.
Okay. Actually, no, this is a newish show, because it just very recently wrapped up its first season. And like a lot of streaming shows, and it's more shameful for me since I'm kind of in the biz of reporting on these types of things or having to know about these types of things. I didn't know the show existed until its finale, and it's like, this show just ended its first season. It has been picked up for a season 2. It's called Silo. It's my second Apple TV Plus series in as many weeks.
Well, remember, I was going on a run of Apple when you weren't watching Apple TV Plus shows.
Well, now that I got the screener site, now that I got TV Guide, I don't need a TV. But yeah, so Silo, it stars Rebecca Ferguson, who's so hot right now because
I love her.
Yeah, I do too, because of the Mission Impossible movies and the new one that she'll be in next week,
and the Dunes,
and the Dunes that's coming out in the fall. The Dunes return. The Dunes sounds like an old like Fox show, like The Heights, like the Dunes, like, and it's like the South Bay or something like that. Okay, Silo gripped me, grabbed me, thrilled me like right away. I haven't felt. Okay, so in the wake of Lost, everyone was trying to find the next Lost, right? Just like in Game of Thrones, everyone was trying to find the next Game of Thrones. You're trying to sort of ape and mimic and recreate the feeling that of really hit unique TV shows that captivated audiences. I don't think any of the new Lost shows got me any good. I'm trying to think back to that era of like when people were trying to recreate that feeling, that mystery box feeling. And they all kind of failed and fizzled.
Flash forward, man.
Yeah, flash forward. But they're still doing that these days with stuff like Manifest, and like they're still going after that. Silo was the first series that really made me feel losty. In a way that I was genuinely interested and always intrigued about what was going on. And it was predictable enough in certain elements that I could feel smart, and unpredictable enough to prove that I wasn't smart. And so it was a nice balance of like, I know where this is heading, and oh my God, what the fuck just happened? So it's really good. It's, as we mentioned, Rebecca Ferguson is the lead, but we don't kind of fall into her character for a while. It's interesting how the story unfolds in a very unique way. It comes to us from Graham Yost, who is a writer, but also now a producer of a lot of things.
I'll repeat that because I didn't hear it, and I don't know if.
Oh yeah, am I blacking out or are you blanking out? Oh no, you froze. Okay, we're back. No. Okay, Graham Yost.
There we go. We got it.
Graham Yost, writer of Speed, writer of many things, but also producer of much TV like Justified and Falling Skies and The Americans and stuff like that, stuff we love. He's back doing Justified and City Primeval. But yeah, he's the one bringing Silo to the screen because it's based on a series of books. And it also has Rashida Jones, David Oyelowo, if I say how you pronounce his name. Common, Tim Robbins is in it. A lot of recognizable people, including, and I don't know the actress's name, but she sort of has a major recurring part on Silo. A woman who was both a mother on Succession and Ted Lasso at the same time, like going to pop in like every season for an episode or two. She was the Roy kids' mom on Succession, and she was Hannah's mom on Ted Lasso, but she's also in this. But it's a dystopian future, and it's 10,000 people who live underground in a giant silo. And it's sort of a caste system with there's the up tops and the down deeps, and the people down below do trash and maintenance and all that stuff. The people up tops are like the law enforcement and the mayor and stuff like that. But there's only 10,000 of them. They don't know where they are. They don't know who they are. And their history only goes back 140 years. And it's a big secret about like why there's no records of anything. And old things are outlawed, like things from the before times are outlawed. And when they look out their window, they see an irradiated wasteland of Earth, but they don't even know what the lights in the sky are. Like they don't know what stars are. So it's a really interesting concept of like figuring out like what's going on outside and also what's going on inside. And if you start going into conspiracies and you tell people you want to go outside and walk outside, they make you. And everyone gathers around to watch as you go out and walk with a spacesuit on and are slowly die from poison gas, like the air is poison. And so it's this really interesting concept. I don't want to give too much away about it, but just know it's been renewed for a season 2. It ends on a great cliffhanger. And I really loved everything about it, especially Rebecca Ferguson, who is great as the lead of a show. She really only sort of popped for us recently as in an American audience for the Mission Impossible movies, though she was on a miniseries called The White Queen about a decade ago that I think was her first big role for us. Yeah, great show. Can't recommend it enough. Really, really sucked me in and made me want more, and everything that a TV show should be. And it made me want to actually binge. And me, as we preach like the weekly release model here, I was like, I want to watch 3 episodes today because I want to know what happens next. And I probably would have been very antsy and frustrated watching this weekly. I would have appreciated it because it was released weekly, but it made for a good binge too. Like I spread it out over like probably 4 days or so.
I keep hearing good things about this show, and I love her. So yeah, I would definitely be watching this soon. But it was like you said, like I saw the name. I have Apple TV, and I would see it on the menu screen, but it was one of those. What is this?
So people who have Apple
Rebecca
TV
Ferguson.
know it.
What is this? But
I actually don't have Apple TV, so I was like, I'd never heard of this. But yeah, I recommend Silo. I think it's amazing. And I hope other people who have access to Apple TV give it a shot. And it's a hit for the streamer site, I guess. I guess it's a hit for Apple, and good for them, and good for Rebecca Dooney. All right, let's get into Fire and Ice. Oh, before we do that, Eric, tell everyone what next week's main event is. What your pick from 1983 is.
What a feeling, everyone! We're gonna watch Flashdance, a movie I've never seen. A huge pop culture thing. I've seen, like everyone who existed in the 80s, I saw 10 million parodies, references, the impact of the soundtrack, the fact that this was a cultural event movie that inspired how people dressed. But I've never actually seen the movie. And so I decided, if we're doing the movies 1983, let's watch Flashdance.
That's a good idea, because I too have never seen Flashdance.
Oh, that's amazing.
So you and I will both have What a Feeling together.
Yes.
As we will both become maniacs on the floor.
That's right.
Floor. And all the other songs from that. Yeah. And what was that? That was Jennifer Jennifer Beals. I didn't know I can't remember if it was Jessica or Jennifer.
Still looked like $1 million on the Book of Boba Fett. She starred that movie, and it is on Paramount Plus.
All right,
watch it there.
Flashdance next week.
Or you can buy
it. Speaking of maniacs on the floor, let's talk about Fire and Ice. Eric. So a little backstory. I loved Fire and Ice. I still have a huge affinity for Fire and Ice. I had the poster.
Matt, do I recall you? Yeah, you had the poster when you were at UCLA, right?
Yeah, I had the poster. And I don't know. I just thought there was something cool back in the day about the way rotoscoping looked and worked. And I think there are elements of rotoscoping that look a lot better than some CG actually. Like if they just rotoscoped gophers and prairie dogs in Crystal Skull, they would have looked better than the CGI ones that we saw. But there's also something creepy and bizarre about it. I don't think it's an uncanny valley situation, but like, for those who don't know, rotoscoping is animating over film. So they film the scenes with live actors and then they animate and paint over it, so that all the performers have actual
and their movement, yeah,
their movement is actual human movement, and a lot of the detail of animation is lost that way, and sometimes things look kind of oogie, but the movement is smooth and clear, unlike sometimes when they try to replicate humans and animals with CG. But
rotoscoping goes back decades. Some early Disney movies would do it when characters were dancing and whatnot. They would use rotoscoping to sort of get the movement right.
And this comes to us from Ralph Bakshi, who was a huge rotoscoper, known for his Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies from the 70s, as well as Fritz the Cat, and then Wizards. Wizards is something my brother actually showed me when I was a kid, because it's something that he liked as a teenager or when he was in college. I'm trying to remember how old he would have been. He's 12 years older than me. But and then he also directed probably the last big rotoscoping type thing, which was Cool World, which is had Brad Pitt in it and Gabriel Byrne and Kim Basinger from 1992, which was like a kind of supposed to be kind of an more adultish version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because it was someone going into an animated world and had a sexy femme fatale with an hourglass figure and something trying to be like Jessica Rabbit, and it was a bomb. But and this was Ralph Bakshi's collaboration with someone known as the godfather of fantasy art, Frank Frazetta, who did many a book cover and D&D landscape and all these different types of very influential. He's in every art and animation hall of fame you can think of. Frank Frazetta was a huge.
When we were talking about this movie last week, I thought you were, and you probably said that he worked on this movie, but I just remember you saying Bakshi was inspired by the work of Frank Frazetta, and then I didn't realize, Frank Frazetta worked on this movie.
No. He worked. They teamed up. It was a tag team for this movie, and it is a very simple story. It's a super simple story, so simple that it's just derivative of everything. You could also equally swap the realms of fire and ice, where the fire people were the villains and the ice people were the heroes. It doesn't matter. I think this is the plot of Elemental in the end, so who knows? But basically, evil sorcerers taking over the land, and a ragtag team of people with butts stop them. And the only
shapely butts.
I think so let's talk about the ridiculous dumper in the room, which is Tigra, the scantily clad character of Tigra, whose proportions I believe were even emphasized even more if you look at
100%
the footage of the actress actually.
Yes, who is a beautiful woman with a great body, but was not had a human body, versus this being a crazy skinny waist with enormous breasts.
There's a weird world where you could defend Tigra was kidnapped, and that's why she's basically naked in the swamp for most of the movie, except that she's just naked in front of her dad, pretty much. She's dressed like this, talking to her father, the king. And I think she's got some see-through shirt on, but that's it. As well as this really durable string bikini, and that's all she wears for the whole movie.
Yes,
which you would think would just disintegrate at some point in this adventure, but and then basically the camera just holds on her as she rolls around, and the camera just pans over her body, and you're kind of okay, there are elements of this movie that are kind of grossish and problematic, which is to say, okay, it's totally exploitive of Tigra and her body, and it's just basically they're just shots that are unabashedly just ass shots in this movie.
Yes. When she's fleeing from them and crawls into an old tree trunk, and it's just Yeah, behind the ass shot. Yeah.
Yes. Now, middle school me, Matt, did not mind this one bit.
Of course not. Of course.
This is
I saw one of the reviews said this movie seems made for horny 12-year-olds. So.
Yeah, it absolutely is 100%. Secondly,
they got their
basically
target demo. Yes.
Basically, the blending of the people of color as the kind of
called
subhuman.
This really jumped out. Yes,
the subhumans here, even that term is gross. Of the barbarian hordes that like work for Necron, and also don't land well.
The beautiful white heroes, and they're darker skinned, subhuman. I put that in air quotes. Villains,
and then the trope, yesteryear trope of having the, I don't know, we won't call Necron gay, but like the effete fey villain. Who was a huge cliche for a long while, and this movie really leans into that too.
There's even a moment for a split second that seems to lean into it seems like it's going to lean into like an evil lecherous lesbian thing where Tigra gets found by that woman, that redheaded woman who gets like right in her face. So she takes her hair.
Yeah, like the weird witch interlude. So the thing about this movie is that Tigra winds up getting like kidnapped and escapes and captured and kidnapped and captured, to the point where most of her kills are her freeing herself from these goons that they're either already pre-injured and she stabs them, but then like I guess Tigra's arc is that by the end of the movie she actually just throws a dagger and like kills them, and it's not like a defensive kill or something like that she does in desperation. Like she becomes a warrior at the end, and that's about as much as we get from her.
Yeah.
And then like the one blonde tan member of his apparently entire village, Larn, which sounds like a parody of a fantasy.
I know it does. It's like the Zucker Abraham Zucker version.
He's the only one of his entire village to survive, and he's also the only one with blonde hair. And I will say the movie is way more exploitive with her, but it is still all about the butt from Larn. Yeah, Larn's wearing a G-string too, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like there's it's not quite equal butts, because it still is more.
It is absolutely not.
It's more oogling her, but it's still funny in the opening as he's running and playing dead. There's a lot of butt shots of him.
Well, even when he's playing dead, his head's right next to another person's butt. Like he's next to a butt.
This is a movie about asses. This is the main thing. Now, Matt, the names that you skipped over, though, the two names that made Eric Goldman go, whoa, in the opening credits were the writers, which is Jerry Conway and Roy Thomas, who are Marvel
they're
Comics
big comic writers. And Conan writers, and
Roy Thomas was kind of Stan Lee's protege. He became like sort of the main editorial presence, but yes, the reason he was hired for this and Jerry Conway, they both had written for Conan, and Roy Thomas had really become an important part of Conan, like Marvel Comics Conan, which is like a huge like kind of built Conan to a new audience. But Roy Thomas also co-created Wolverine and Captain Marvel Carol Danvers and Luke Cage and a crap load of characters, Ultron. And Jerry Conway, his two main claims to fame on the comic book realm that people would know is he co-created The Punisher, and he killed Gwen Stacy. So those are his...
Was it because her butt wasn't big enough?
No. Jerry Conway's actually a really fun presence on Twitter where he basically tells people that he argues with people who like to glorify the Punisher, and he's very staunchly fights against like the Punisher's logo being used by like the far right. And
he's like, you guys should be using the Necron logo.
He just keeps making Fire and Ice references.
Just makes he's just talking about. He's like,
you don't get it.
Tigra would be against this. You're a real Larn.
As a Marvel Comics kid and adult, those two names, I had no idea, because I think I'd seen this movie as a kid once, maybe, Matt. Because my background, like
I showed you this.
Yeah, that sounds right. Of course I saw it. I knew Matt Fowler. Ralph Bakshi is someone I admire without being a fan of, because anytime I watch his stuff, it never really grabs me story-wise.
That's like, it's kind of like April with Weird Al, which is like, She doesn't like any of his songs, but it's honestly
I
like,
admire the craft.
you know, like the legacy, right?
Yes.
The profession, the
Yes.
contribution to society.
That he was an alternative to Disney.
Yeah,
And stuff. His stuff is interesting, but it never story wise actually grabs me.
yeah. So, and having read a handful of Conan comics at this time, it's like there are a lot of elements of those Conan comics where it's like one of my favorite issues was like Conan finds a baby wrapped up, and it's his whole quest is going down river to return this baby to its family, and all the things he meets along the way, and monsters and so forth, and protecting the baby. Very simple stories. This is, yeah, you could write this, basically this story on a napkin. It's very, very easy, especially because so much of it involves now she's captured, now she's rescued, now she thinks he's dead, but he winds up with Darkwolf, and you know, like there's just between the beginning kidnapping and the end fight, there's just a lot of running around in the swamps and the mountains and stuff like that. The most interesting part of this movie, yeah, I don't think we're going to talk about this movie too long because there's not much to it, honestly. But the most interesting part of this movie for me was always, if we're not talking about her giant can, which is Darkwolf. The character of Darkwolf,
who in my notes was cool guy for a lot.
he's cool guy. You don't know anything about him. You don't know why he's fight. Like, you don't know where he comes from. You don't know what his history with Necron is, to the point where at the end when he's like, Necron, it sounds like they have this long history of fighting. He gets
the final fight and the final kill.
Yeah, I always love that. I always love that it comes down to him. And Larn is just kind of like rescues Tigra and does some.
He's a real Larn, Matt.
Yeah, he's the thing. Like in a world of Larns, be a Darkwolf is what we're saying.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I always loved that this dude got to fight Necron and was just stronger than him, because Necron, we see that he can control ice, but then past the halfway point of the movie, when he murders Tigra's brother and his soldiers, he has actual just telekinesis. Like, he can control people and puppet them. It's actually quite disturbing when he just makes them all kill each other and then he kill himself. And Darkwolf is just fucking stronger than this power and bursts through it. It reminds me of when
he's just fucking Wolverine, you know? Which co-created by Roy Thomas. So there you go.
It's like Last of the Mohicans when the father just bursts through and kills Magua.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like Hawkeye doesn't get the fight with Magua. The dad does. Who basically, and it's a squash match. And so it kind of always reminded me of that.
What's really funny is that since we're already talking about it, so let's dig in on it, is when he kills Necron, is he beats the shit out of him, he wounds him, and then there's a long pause that I thought would be the, oh no, Necron's gonna stab him and now Larn will have to.
Nope.
But nope, he just is like long pause and his mom's screaming, and then he's like, okay, now I kill you.
He just fucking kills him. And it was, and like earlier in the movie, they find themselves at this place where there's like a shrine built to this guy. There's a statue of him. And is it him, or is he the next? And is he like the Black Panther, right? Where it's like he's the next in line of these people who wear this headdress, right? And like fight with an axe or something like that. Is he a deity? Is he something, you know, like he's the most intriguing part of this movie, especially because the other two feel like they're caught up in something much bigger and more important than them. And the whole movie is about getting Darkwolf to Necron. Like, how do we get him to kill the guy? And these two other bozos are kind of like in the way almost, except that they need the King's Dragonhawks to fly in at the end. But like when he jumps from that Dragonhawk right before it dies through the doorway, and there's that shot of him like slow-mo coming in, like his Aragorn opening the doors shot.
It's funny because that the poster, which is very, you know, eye-catching, and which again Matt had on his wall in college, it's the person under the logo is wait, what is his name again?
Darkwolf.
Darkwolf. To the point that I'm like, is Larn even on the poster? Well, he is. In fact, he's center. It's just that he's being overshadowed by Darkwolf above him. So yeah, it's just funny that they're just like, hey, this it's very much the sort of Wolverine type character who just kind of comes in and kicks ass and be awesome. So
the thing is too is like he's not like a Mad Max, right? So he's not wandering through and he's like, I'm going to help this skirmish and help these people. He's from there because he's got that temple that looks like it's old and ruined. It doesn't look like Necron's forces blew through there. It looks ancient. And that, again, that I can make up all this whole much better story about this guy and his history with Necron and the Queen and stuff like that, and how that works. But other than that, like, yeah, the movie opens where it's just like this is the part where Eric Goldman initially fell asleep.
Can we talk about the weirdest thing about the way it opens? It does a classic movie thing, Star Wars most famously, but a million movies have done, which is text on screen. This does but someone's reading it as well. But then it quickly cuts, it like moves away. Like they don't let us finish reading super quickly. Then they get to those just still images, which I assume are Frazetta images.
And an interesting thing about the way rotoscope works here, which is like, obviously there's the movement, but there's a lot of like still imagery. And there's also a lot of times when the camera just moves, it looks like it's moving across a painting.
Yeah.
It doesn't, yeah. And so, yeah, I just always thought this looked really unique and cool. It's not for everyone.
Not for my wife who walked by and went, I do not like how that looks.
I will say this, and I meant to bring this up because I didn't mention that he was a part. I don't think I named him. You know me, I love naming people.
You do.
Who's the actor who played? Ian Glenn is in Silo, the movie, the show I just talked about. Ian Glenn, who was Jorah on Game of Thrones, and he has an important recurring role on Silo. But they do the thing where in flashbacks they de-age him and it looks bad and it looks weird. And I'm like, this is the new rotoscope. I don't know. Again, take the gray out of his hair and I'll just buy that he's younger. Don't do this smoothing thing on his face that looks so bizarre. Again, this is just what in the future wives will walk past Silo and look at Ian Glenn and be like, I don't like the way that looks, and just keep walking.
Wives,
people's wives will walk past. So then they just gives us the rundown, and it's like Juliana, the Ice Queen, and they live in a place called Ice Peak, and she has a son.
This is where I guess Narco sleepy Eric because Necron sleepy because because this type of fantasy is never my thing. So.
It's not even interesting though, because again, so basic. The region of ice and Necron, he's tutored in the black arts and has powers of the mind and stuff like that. And he's just trying to take over the world. And but his powers are so like, I don't know. He's like this god level powers where he can move this massive ice wall and consume the entire land with ice while spasming either in ecstasy.
Orgasmic type writhing. Yeah.
He's either coming or shitting himself or both. He's either both. Hating it or enjoying himself, but it is both. He's writhing while this sheet of ice just sort of consumes the land, and he's mostly just insane. So the queen basically had this insane son who's cruel, and there's a moment even later on that reminds me of Buffalo Bill / High Evolutionary when like she holds out her hand in peace and he just starts holding his hand out and laughing.
Yeah.
Like a cruel, non-empathetic, insane person.
He laughs so long though, I wanted to see like, okay, I accept your peace offering.
He's like, well, he also does a Belloc laugh at one point because as Larn is escaping at one point, you hear Necron's laugh like echo through the kingdom, like ah ha ha. As the Jovitos chase Larn. And then basically there's a land of fire. And this is where the weird, basically a guy who looks like he should be on Bar Rescue or one of those Duck Dynasty shows, like is the king, and doesn't mind that his daughter just walks around the lava palace naked, practically naked, while she's bored with her tutoring. And basically we see the setup, which is that the Ice Queen sends an envoy to broker peace with the Fire King, but then her real plot is to kidnap the princess.
But also it's this funny thing of like, like we are introduced to her barely dressed and then just like super oogling her. She's like, moving her legs around while laying there, just very much checking her out. But then it's funny because she does have dialogue about how, the men get all the glory and the women, we're not allowed to do this stuff, in a way that you think the movie would be more about that, but it's not, because like you said, it's like
Eric, I already said she throws a knife at the end, and she hits him. She hits him.
She does do that. But.
Well, and then she's like, we just hate learning and just being boring here in the palace. Isn't that right, Shaitan, who's her panther pet, who's immediately killed? But yes. And I'm like, do we need to know the name of this? Like, this is a named character who's immediately killed. And the tutor, I guess, is just knocked out. But we get to ogle her body, too, so that's fine.
Sure.
And then, basically, after she's kidnapped, they're basically, there's a lot of dialogue intermittently between the king and her brother. And he's like, what do we do, father? And he's like, we wait. And like, but I want to go. He's like, no. And so we cut back to them every so often until the king basically sends his son to death, and he knows he's doing it. And the son knows he's doing it, but he has to basically go beg for your sister's life back and to, broker peace and stuff like that. But that comes later. And then we also follow Larn, whose village is destroyed by this ice wall, but he survives. And there's just a lot of action and fighting in this between Larn and basically the soldiers of Necron. It's fun to watch rotoscope action. I think it's interesting, at least if you see it once as an experiment. The action doesn't get really cool until Darkwolf comes in.
Yeah, with his big axe.
Well, yeah, and basically is a one-man army and kills them all and like can just take them all on himself. But yeah, and then at this point, we are following Tigra and the soldiers again as she basically uses her body to try to distract them by like
she does
and posing in the water, like
to a
coming out of the water.
Extent, a dangerous extent, it seems like.
I know it's like you do not want to get your captors horny,
right?
Unless you have a foolproof escape plan.
I know, and I guess she's right that like they won't swim after her under the water, but it seems like quite a bet she's doing there.
I don't know. I'm probably the only person in the world who, when the season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian rolled out and the big dinosaur creature came out of the water at all the Mandalorians, thought of this movie. Because that's what happens here.
It's a classic Fire and Ice situation.
Like, oh, they did. They're pulling from the greats, which is Favreau and Filoni know what they're doing.
That's right.
But yeah, so
you just texted me all caps sick Fire and Ice reference on the Mandalorian.
I'm tweeting at them constantly, and they're like, "Someone gets us." Honestly, I lose track, even though I've seen this movie a lot, about like when she escapes and when she doesn't.
It's
First, Larn has to escape, and he leads them on a merry chase up a giant tree, and he jumps off, and the vines save him on the way down. She simultaneously does her escape, and then they sort of meet in the middle, and it's almost like an instant porn, which is like they don't have sex, but like at first he's like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here!" And she's like, "Fine," and then like she runs away and goes hee hee hee, and like it's sort of like, here's some berries. Yeah, then it's like this playful chase. Yeah, where she's like offering him berries and stuff like that. But then they become kind of fast friends, and they kill a thing and they eat it, and
he makes monkey sounds.
But then like he falls in the fucking water and a squid takes him away.
Sure.
And she thinks he's dead, and that's kind of their meet cute is over. To be continued, we should say. But then she gets recaptured, and he meets Darkwolf.
And I write in my notes, "This guy's cool."
He is cool. Yeah, again.
And we know we're an edgy animated movie because he says that wolf bitch Juliana.
And I was like, whoa.
What?
You dare call Juliana a bitch? And then very briefly, she's also recaptured by this witch in the woods.
And then I put, this is lame. She's captured again.
Yeah, she's captured again by the witch's weird ogre son, Otwa.
Well, she's captured first by other humans.
And then she's recaptured by them, when the woman finds out she's wanted by Necron and is going to give him back to the soldiers. But she gets killed for her troubles, and the fire.
In the midst of this, we get the cool
produced-
Darkwolf killing people in the haze with the axe.
Oh yeah,
It's probably my
the fog moment's really cool. Especially when like there's one guy who like jumps out of the fog and he just catches him in the midair with the axe.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite sequence.
And then the magical fire of the witch's hut brings Larn and Darkwolf to the yard, much like milkshakes.
Sure.
And then they talk to the dead version, much like Dungeons and Dragons.
I put that in my notes as well. Not as funny, thieves. But it is a similar sequence.
Kind of I always like the sequence, the creepy, like beyond the grave witch talking
she looks cool. She looks cool. Yeah.
And pointing them in the direction of where to go, because Tigra's been taken again and she's in chains again. A lot of chaining up scantily clad Tigra in this movie. And she's also like, avenge me. And I'm like, why would they do that? Why?
We don't even know you, lady.
We don't even know you, man.
That seems like a you problem.
Yeah, good luck with all that.
Not a Larn problem.
Yeah, Summer of Larn.
Larn for life.
Because when you go Larn for life.
Necron laughs and laughs and laughs in her face and does not say, okay, I accept peace. In fact, he says, I spit on peace. I spit on you.
He's like, next time you bring me another one of your sluts, mother.
It is funny, like I guess you can say it's the movie subverting expectations, but it is funny that we talked about the moment, the long pause after Necron's wounded, where I thought something was going to happen that it didn't. But another funny moment is when you mentioned, yes, it's creepy when he makes what's Tigra's brother's name?
I don't know. Yeah,
Tigra's brother. When he makes the brother and his men kill each other, it's funny that Larn is creeping up and you'd think is going to save the brother or at least try, but he doesn't. He just watches him kill himself.
And so the closest we have, interestingly enough, because as if we're looking for the way for this to traditionally play out, Larn and Necron would fight each other at the end, but we do get a Larn and Necron fight, and Larn's just no match for him, like for his powers. So he gets captured, and Necron is like, no, I want to fight him and play around with him. He's a toy, and he's like basically uses his powers to just sort of tease and torment Larn, and then keep him around, like so he doesn't have him killed. So he wants to keep him around as sort of like a plaything. So
it's very Ming the Merciless and Flash Gordon. I like to play with things before I destroy them.
And so for Larn to actually come back from that and be able to beat Necron, I understand would have been a bit of a stretch because we saw him fail. Like he's not powerful enough.
But the team up, Matt, they could have done the team up.
They could have. If this had been a more modern movie, we would have seen them all triple team.
Yep.
And she could do her knife throw, which she's now the master of. And Larn can Larn around and distract him while Darkwolf sneaks in with the axe. But Darkwolf didn't need any of that. He don't need no backup.
I don't need you, Larn. Because they do the because this is when I keep wanting to say Nightwolf, the Mortal Kombat character. Darkwolf. When Darkwolf returns, because the last time we saw him, all those guys were running at him in slow-mo. It's like he's overwhelmed, which is a funny moment, by the way, because one of those subhumans they made sure to rotoscope his giant junk moving back and forth in slow-mo as he
look, equal opportunity.
yes
we've been just like exploiting Tigra this entire time. Let's get some
we take some breaks.
Let's get some John Hamm's running in gray sweatpants, you know what I mean?
Or Carrie on the other two. So because Darkwolf returns, in my notes it said cool dude lives and he saves Larn with arrows and spear.
Yep, he does that.
Yeah.
Your notes are correct. and then basically they all kind of wind up none of them wind up rescuing Tigra just yet. It's not till they go back to the king, and then the big team up happens at the end, which is that Dark Wolf, Larn fly in on Dragonhawks while the king releases the lava, which they mentioned,
which is
at the beginning.
established here. After Darkwolf returns, we have the king being like, I'm gonna have no choice. I'm gonna have to release the lava. And this is like, becomes this other thing about will they stop Necron in time, or will this lava be released? It's kind of weird because the king doesn't know Necron's been killed and he still releases the lava. It doesn't seem like it's that hard for them to get away from that lava.
It's not, and also Tigra is still in Necron's clutches, and he's releasing the anyway. So his daughter's still there, and does he know his son's dead? Probably. Who knows? But yeah, and Necron's just like up top of this, the skull tower with the hand head laughing and dancing around and going ha 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 and like making the ice go crazy. But that's where the final fight happens with Darkwolf. As the assault, basically all of the king's soldiers get killed except Larn and Darkwolf, because all the Dragonhawks get taken down by spears and rocks and stuff like that. And only our two heroes survive. And Larn's job is just to rescue Tigra and get out. And while Darkwolf takes care of Necron. And then Tigra is like, no, Larn, we have to start over, and stops him from killing the final soldier, Necron.
Which is funny because earlier in the movie, there's that scene where a wounded subhuman kind of crawls at Tigra, and I put in my notes, is this going to be an enemy mine? But no, then he tries to just kill her, and so she has to kill him. So it is funny that at the end that happens again, but she's like, hey, we're cool now.
Enemy mine. Now there's something, I don't know when we would ever do a main event for that, but that's one of the more obscure 80s sci-fi movies. But this movie would never do something so interesting as right. Enemy mine situation with Tigra. That would actually have given her like a story in between getting kidnapped and getting rescued.
Now, here's a weird thing to me about the end of this movie is Darkwolf kills Necron. I never saw Darkwolf again. And I was like, what happened?
Did he exist?
He exists. No, it was Tyler Durden's situation.
Did anyone else see him, Eric, besides Larn? I'm asking you. Well, the king did. He's riding a Dragonhawk. Who knows? It could have been all imagined. The question of his actual mortality is always like sort of up in the air because of like that statue, and like, who is he? Is he a power? Is he a god? Where does he go? Where's he been spending his nights? You know what I mean? Like,
you're making me think of Spinal Tap with the druid. Who were they?
We don't. No one knows who they were or what they were doing. That's right. He was a druid.
He was a Stonehenge druid. Now here's the thing. So the closing credits of this movie begin for me, and I'm like, what happened to Darkwolf? So I decided to read the Wikipedia plot synopsis, and it says that that Tigra and Larn are embraced with a kiss, and then the last line of the plot synopsis on Wikipedia is, from atop a cliff, a smiling Darkwolf briefly watches the pair, then disappears. I was like, what? Did I miss that? Rewound. Watched it again. Nope. I don't know where this so seems
it's like it's not even something really, really hard to see if you're not looking for like the Cloverfield thing dropping into the water at the end on the video. Oh, okay.
It's just like, I think that's just someone's wishful thinking or something that fact she said in an interview is the implication. I don't know, but did a
Darkwolf write this?
Darkwolf's like, I was there the whole time.
I put in the part where I disappear. I feel like I would have known that. I just feel like this is definitely a first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Darkwolf.
I was amused in the closer grade. Again, Frank Frazetta is a legend, and if you look at his art, very influential in these, yes, scantily clad men and women, Conan style, or sometimes straight up Conan, because he did some Conan art of these barbarians and these beautiful women. But it did make me laugh in the closing credits to see costumes designed by Frank Frazetta, given how barely there
he like hands people string. He's like, here you go.
Wear this. Oh, and a classic Frazetta costume.
It's like, I call my new line. Yeah. Ice Peak chic.
It was also funny to me to look at, because most of these characters have two actors, the person who was the performance model who was filmed and the voice actor. One of the exceptions is Darkwolf. Steve Sandor did the voice and was the on-set Darkwolf.
Yeah,
So
and
good for him.
also the guy who played the king, Gerald, and I believe Taro is the prince or brother.
And evil redhead witch,
Rillel. Okay, yeah. And very few of them have actual Wikipedia link pages, but yes.
That was actually fascinating because I did recognize Susan Terrell's name, who was in a lot of stuff. But usually, even if something's like Secret of Nim, which was not like, again, animated movies these days, you have to have big stars, and we've talked before about, do you really? But they feel like they do. But even something like Secret of Nim had like much more recognizable, or Last Unicorn, just recognizable actors, not huge stars, but just people you knew from TV shows and stuff. Versus this, which is like notably does not have a bunch of
Oh
names.
no. And again, like you mentioned, Susan Terrell, who has a lot of credits to her name, including Angel, which will come out next year, the year after this in '84. But her voice is so like animated, familiar, like that type of evil queen voice that she has. Very much sounding like Maleficent and stuff from classic Disney anyway. But yeah, no Paul Rudd's in this one. No, no Wanda Sykes.
But
she was the narrator.
Dom DeLuise, who was in Secret of Nim.
She was the narrator for Wizards, so she worked with Bakshi.
I want to see Wizards, by the way.
It was very interesting because it's also they also include in Wizards live action. So there's actual,
I know that,
actual newsreel footage thrown in there of tanks and stuff, so it actually uses real things sometimes.
Because I saw some of the reviews of this, compared it understandably, but also not as favorably to Wizards. Like people felt like Wizards was the stronger movie of the two, and I would be curious to watch that. Distributed by 20th Century Fox. I'm not sure if their full ownership situation is these days, so I do wonder, does Disney still own a piece of this movie now that they own 20th Century Fox?
So I did wanted to mention, and I brought up briefly last week, introing this movie, which is to say that back a little over 10 years ago, Robert Rodriguez wanted to make a live action remake of this. I assume at the time, going by the era, he would have probably wanted
Rose McGowan
as Tigra, probably running around in a bikini. But and then this, when is it coming out? August.
Next. Now this is wild. Because of
in
my
August,
yes.
Fire and Ice #1 will be published as a comic book. And so it's coming. I don't know if it's just a retelling or if it's a prequel or how it's working, but so Fire and Ice comic book issue #1 comes out August 2023.
And what was so funny about this with Trish is, like I said, she was walking by while I was watching it and not liking anything she was seeing. And then I said, because I was reading this, I go, "Oh, Trish, this is really funny, given you're not liking this at all." Trish loves Fables way more. She got me into Fables, and is gone to signings.
So Bill Willingham is doing this, and as
she's met many times, the creator of Fables. Yeah.
So I looked to clarify. It is a prequel series. So Eric, this could all be about Darkwolf. Like, as for all we know,
we'll give the people what they want.
This is giving us the Darkwolf backstory and maybe the history with the Queen and Necron and all that. But who's to say? But anyway, I really doubt it's going to give us the story of the young Larn. Like, who gives a shit? But I don't know. But it is a prequel comic series. Basically in collaboration with Bakshi Productions and Frazetta Girls, and so Bill Willingham is doing it.
Lots of cool artists are doing covers. Bill Sikanovich and Francesco Francavilla. And of course, there will be a Frank Frazetta poster included with it too. So that's funny because, again, I'm not a big fan of this movie, but it's funny reading about that comic book, which has a lot of people I'm really fans of involved in. Makes me want to kind of check out that comic book. Yes.
All right, Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice. Matt, how do you feel about Fire and Ice now that you're revisiting it?
This is a perfect blend of, is it great or was I just 8? With, I still do kind of like this, but I
was it great or was I a horny 12-year-old?
Yes, but I also feel like, I don't know. Again, I liked rotoscoping when I saw it. I thought it was cool. I still think it holds up in a certain curioso way.
Yeah.
But I also understand why people just wouldn't be into this at all, even if you're a fantasy fan, which you aren't even that. So, like, you had so much working against you going into this. Anyway.
Yes, unfortunately. Yes. But again, I see elements of
but
it.
I still enjoy this movie quite a bit.
I'm Team Darkwolf.
Well, everyone should be Team Darkwolf in this.
Right? If you're a Larn guy, I don't even want to talk to you.
All right. Larn's Twitter and Darkwolf is Threads. All right. Until next time, when we talk about Flashdance, an actual hit movie that people have seen,
But not us.
Except for us, much like Short Time, we have not seen Flashdance. As big of a cultural sensation that it was, we did not see it, but we will for the first time, and you can listen to us talk about it with having seen it with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Next week. Until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shockman.
Shockman.
Shockman!